Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Chad. How was your week this week, Chad?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me that, but I don't have an answer.
So it was great. It was just extraordinarily wonderful, is what you're saying.
It's been a good week, and you know, just in the interest of contextuals, right? Just got done with the media day for the USGA Adaptive Open.
Awesome. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, got to hang out with a couple of players that are going to be in the field come July.
Awesome.
Amazing people.
Awesome.
And told one of the folks from the USGA that, you know, I've been doing this whole media thing for the better part of 30 years, and I've never had something come across my desk that has moved me to tears of joy every single time it has come across my desk.
I mean, I love it. I think, we really are honored. You know, us in Newton are honored. Sand Creek Station, it's an honor for anybody that's not been paying attention to this. This is something that is extraordinary.
Yes, and Chris Toohey was there today.
Awesome.
You know, and listening to him, you know, I got like 1 minute with him, and he, you know, expressed how hard it was not only to leave this community that was, in his words, just so good to him for so long, but to come back and see all of us. Yeah. I mean, that was really hard for him. And you know, he is a part of that tournament committee, and he made the comment during, you know, his little speech this morning that this tournament is going to change people's lives.
It is,
and he was very blunt. He was challenging people to volunteer for the tournament and telling them, if you volunteer for this tournament, it will change your life. I believe him.
Yeah.
With everything I got, I totally believe him.
Yeah. Well, I keep waiting for the naysayers on Facebook to have something negative to say about it. And so far, so good. So far, so good. But Chad, I'll tell you.
Well, let me tell you, I am not one of those people that runs around, you know, playing whack-a-mole. But if the negative Nellies come out about the USGA, I might just have to start whacking some moles. Well, I might have to pull a sledgehammer out of the garage and start making some visits.
Now, there was a little bit of that. I've got to recant on what I said. There was a little bit about it when Representative Avery had secured a little bit of funding for it.
You know what? So what?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, dude.
I mean, all around, I think it's a great thing.
And when it comes to stuff like that, you know, straight up, somebody's going to go get $150,000 for their town.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So good job, Avery. You got us 150 G's for something that we absolutely better be proud of.
Yeah. Well, once again, it's extraordinary. I mean, it is absolutely something that I'm looking forward to. I'm truly a believer that people will step up in our community and the surrounding area to volunteer like we need to have volunteers for.
And we do, and we need them. They need them badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
still yet.
Yeah,
and it's coming up. What do you know? What day it is that it's supposed to happen?
It's July.
Okay.
I don't have the exact dates coming out of my head right now.
Yeah.
But it's July, and in the words of Rod Cry at the city commission meeting this week, it's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah.
So yes, we desperately need people to volunteer for that. I got too many balls in the air that are things like surgeries for kids over this summer. So I have not signed on the dotted line, and I have not put my money where my mouth is on this one. But I am telling you, people, get in this thing.
Yeah. Well, it is. I agree with you. I'm sure it's going to be a life-changing event. It's going to be a community-changing event. Just knowing that it goes back to investment and the fact that, you know, I can remember still to this day, all the way back when people had something negative to say about Newton putting in a public golf course and spending money on a public golf course, and over so many years, look at what kind of a value-added benefit that has provided. Now, it might not if you're not a golfer. Maybe you don't think that golfing is fun or enjoyable, but that doesn't change the fact that if you're community-minded, it has an overall positive impact on our community.
And it's an amenity that this community needed.
Yeah.
And there was a group that wanted.
Yeah.
And, there's just no two ways around it. Now, this particular one comes with some casualties. You could say unintended consequences, because we no longer have Fox Ridge. It was the oldest country club golf course in the state. It's gone. It's going to become houses, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's one of the fallouts from having a Sand Creek station constructed here. We got to call things for what they are, and Sand Creek Station is a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
This morning, someone from the USGA called this the destination golf course for the Midwest. They are right. Yeah. These are people who know what they're talking about. Yeah. So we built ourselves a heck of a golf course. Yeah. We lost what was called Newton Public. It wasn't a public golf course, but it was called Newton Public, out north of North Newton. We lost them too. Sometimes you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Yeah. And some eggs got broken. And we didn't see the housing starts that we were hoping to see, because, there was also this idea that there were going to be several hundred homes constructed around the golf course. Yeah. And that didn't happen.
Well, it may sometime in the future.
Well, but, sometimes things take time.
Yes.
And, nobody saw recessions coming in 2008. No one, and that was a time period where this community suffered greatly.
Oh, yeah.
We had made some investments. Some people have heard me say that the city of Newton made a series of bad bets because they didn't cash in. On the surface, they looked great. They looked like slam dunks. But then 2008 came along. Now it's not so great.
Well, and this goes into things. I got two things on that, Chad. Two things on that. It just brings to mind something that I was very excited about. Well, first off, I want to say this: nothing is consistent in life except for change. Okay?
Correct.
So when we're talking about these other golf courses that saw their life, and then obviously that transformed over into the Sand Creek Station and the investment there, and then the homes that were supposed to come here, and then obviously the investment made at the Newton Industrial Park and all this. We're starting to see all these things start to come to fruition.
They are starting to pay off.
Yeah, obviously it's all the houses that are going in out at Fox Ridge. That's wonderful. We wouldn't have a place for that to be if it not for that.
Well, and straight up, man, May 31st, I believe, is the date. There is a groundbreaking for Hillboro Industries. It's coming.
Another one. Another winner.
Things are starting to pay off.
Yeah.
Right?
all the way around, way around. And so then we take into consideration something that I thought the community would absolutely praise, and that was the extension of the bike path. We talked about it on the last program, how exciting that is, that it comes almost all the way up to the bird watching place that we have out there now, which is a wonderful addition that was totally privately funded. But I cannot get my head wrapped around the fact that we just constantly have to have negative Nancy's getting on social media that are spouting this, that, and the other, and they don't even know what they're talking about. And people are absolutely still livid about the sewer treatment facility, and they never take into consideration, no matter how many times they are told, we couldn't do anything about that, people. We could not do anything about that. Federal regulations dictated that the city of Newton needed to upgrade their sewer treatment facility. That's what we had to do. So for you to complain about it is like going to your house when your air conditioner goes out. You have to replace your air conditioner. For the next 20 years, you're complaining about what you had to pay to replace your air conditioning unit while you're sitting in your air-conditioned house. It's getting to the point where it's so frustrating to just constantly just beat your head against the wall. I literally did a capstone project. I don't think people understand what a capstone project is, but it's like the pinnacle of your education, and it was about the water treatment or utility bill ultimately. And one part of that was the sewer treatment facility, and I don't need to go on a rant here, but it starts with the fact that we did not have anything that we could do about it. Similar to the courthouse situation, similar to the buying the Pine Street and moving it over there.
So do you want me to get my sledgehammer out?
I mean, I'm Chad. I'm getting to the point where it's like, no, we don't want this to happen. We don't have a choice. We do not have a choice in this matter. We need to do what we can do, the best that we can do, and move forward. That's the way this works. And there's nothing that we can do to change it except for try to mold it and change it. And you know, where there was even discussion about how quickly we were paying off the treatment facility. So they, you know, kind of backed off of that a little bit. And maybe that wasn't the best fiscal responsibility, but it was the one that seemed to be the will of the people. I mean, it's getting to the point where anytime anybody endeavors to try to educate the mass public, I don't know if it's just people being quiet who are educated and know what's going on, or whether it's just, I mean, where are the people? Okay, where are the people that want to at least speak up and say, no, this is not right. This is not the way this is. You know, it's not $485 a square foot of this because you have a bridge going underneath it, or you have a tunnel going underneath the train tracks. You have retaining walls. You have all of these things that just, it's not just this simple. And then you have people just getting on there and branding people. And I even saw libtards thrown out there. And I'm just like, you really cannot make this up. I mean, I would be embarrassed to be so blatant to get on to social media and lose all credibility with anybody. If I got on there at some point in time, and I know I'm ranting, Chad,
yes,
I'm sorry. I am just super sorry.
I'm going to unpack some of this.
I mean, help me out here. I don't understand. I don't understand.
So let me see if I can focus where we're at, or what's got Lance going today.
It's got me going today.
So I think what's got you going is that there's been some folks kind of poo-pooing the idea of extending the Sand Creek Trail.
Yes, which is grant funded.
And one of the reasons people are apparently upset is that it's going to come pretty darn close to our sewage treatment plant. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so does everybody's houses that are out there.
Can we be brutally straight about a few things? You know, here's something. If you want to be upset about some project, let's start with being upset about projects that we're actually paying for.
Yeah.
Okay? Straight up, this Sand Creek Trail project, it's not going to happen if they don't get the grant. We're going to know in July if the grant is awarded or not. And this is not the first time that they have attempted to do this. They've attempted to do it before, and they didn't get the grant money. What happened? The project didn't move forward. So let's start there. You want to be PO'd? Let's be PO'd about a project you think we don't need that we're actually paying for. And spare me the BS of, well, it's still my tax dollars. It's just coming from a different source.
Oh, that's the new thing. Right
okay.
Now,
so let's just be straight. How many people you want filling the bathtub? Okay? Same for education funding. This is right here why I have been spitting nails at the legislature for years when it comes to education funding. Okay? Do you want the same 20,000 people that you see in the grocery store? Are those the only 20,000 people you want paying in?
We can't make it.
No way. If you want to, let's extrapolate this out a little bit. $74 million for a new intersection on US 50. How many people you want paying into that pot?
Well, but it's still all tax dollars, Chad. It's all tax dollars.
You're right. It is all tax dollars. But here's the deal. We'll just take a project that's $1 million. Just one. Heck, I'm going to get my calculator out.
Well, then I'm going to keep ranting.
I'm going to get my calculator out, because if we're going to take a $1 million project and we're going to say that there's going to be 20,000 people paying taxes into that project, how much are you going to have to pay for it? How much are you individually paying for that?
Oh man, what are we?
$50.
Yeah.
Now, $50 is going to be an inconvenience to me. It ain't going to break me. But that same $1 million project, and we're going to say that there's take your pick. We're gonna levy those taxes down in Wichita. That's 300,000 people. Okay. Now I understand that not everybody is a property owner. I get it.
Just basic numbers.
But the basic numbers for that same $1 million project, what's the hit? $3.33. How many people you want paying in? Because if we're gonna do a project like the trail, the funding that they're trying to get is coming from the state level. That means that your share of it is a lot less than you're going to be paying if we tried to do it at the local level.
Well, it's just wasting tax dollars, Chad. Don't you know? It's just wasting tax dollars. I cannot. It goes back to this. I forget who made the comment.
By the way, Dana Shiflett summed this up so well. If you haven't read the story, read it. He summed this up so well. Okay? This is the first underpass of the railroad, of the BNSF. This is it. Sorry you won't be able to drive your car on it, but you'll be able to ride your bike under it. Okay? This is it. 150 years, this is the first time we've been able to get under the blasted BNSF. Maybe. Okay? I mean, seriously.
Right.
So, guys like me who are over the moon excited for this project, we're trail users.
Yeah.
We're walkers, bikers, runners, dog walkers. Okay? And we actually use this trail. Believe it or not, the trail gets used.
Yeah.
I got asked that question by somebody in law enforcement yesterday. How much does that path get used?
A ton.
And this was my response. I have spent the last 3 days trying to chase down some photos of stuff because I've got 2 stories that I want photos to have. One is Themian Park. That's exciting, by the way.
Yeah.
And the other was the trail. Okay? Now, I'm excited for the prospect of what Themian Park might be able to become. So please, don't use this statement against me. The fact of the matter is that park does not get used nearly as much as a trail does.
Yeah.
Try being the guy that wants to get a photo with people in it over at the park. You're going to running back and forth there every 45 minutes to an hour for 3 days and you never find anything.
Yeah.
You want to get a photo of somebody using the trail?
It doesn't take long. I mean,
15 minutes. It only took me 15 minutes for that.
I'm an avid trail user, and I'm here to tell you that it is a thoroughfare.
Yes.
It really is. If you're not on it, then you don't know. But otherwise, if you're somebody that uses it, you know it's used all day long, every day, all day long.
And one of the things that Dana talked about with this trail and with this extension, we are fixing to use state money to provide our school kids a way around US 50 and the railroad, and they can get from the south side to the north side. I can't think of a whole lot of other investments that are better than that.
Yeah. Well, and it's the usage of it. I mean, it comes back to this. It comes back. Let's just talk taxes, okay? Because I wanted to talk about the Themian Park. I think that's an amazing thing that's happening. I saw everybody probably got the same flyer I did on my door, and it said that there's going to be public comments, and this is what they're wanting to do.
People that live in the area got that on their door.
Okay,
yes.
So then my mistake, because I live near it. Okay,
yeah.
And I got it, but not everybody did. You know, I looked at it and I thought, wow, you know, this park is desperately in need of an upgrade. Community members utilize the park. Right now, they've got T-ball games or something going
Blast
on.
ball.
Yeah. And
it's the 4-year-olds.
It's cool.
The baseball
really.
that only parents can love.
Yeah, right. Well, and I hear it from my doorstep. I hear the little air horn every once in a while, and the people and the joy and stuff. I mean, if you just sit there and listen to it, you know that it's nice to hear it being used, right? And then of course, obviously, Santa Fe uses that and whatnot. And there was this independent project that was there just recently for some seating and whatnot.
Yep,
and
the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, and so, but it goes back to the taxes thing. I am not a big tax person, right? I don't want my taxes to go up any more than anybody else wants their taxes to go up. I'm somebody that wants to have no waste in government spending. I'm somebody that doesn't want for just this continuous upward climb of taxes. If they got me going one way, they got me going another. So I'm a conservative when it comes to that. But I also don't understand this concept of nobody wanting to invest in the public good. It's like, well, I will definitely spend that $15. And I've said this before. I'll spend that $15 8 times a month going back and forth to McDonald's, right? But you want 15 of my dollars a month to be able to invest it in something that has to do with the public good. Well, I'm not for that. That's a waste of spending. That's just wasteful spending.
Well, then, Lance,
what is it, Chad?
You need to call the Railer Foundation, because they're the people for you, man. I'm telling you, because this project, this Themian Park project, that some people think kind of came out of nowhere, didn't come out of nowhere, but it is another, and I can't stress enough, it is another public-private partnership project.
Nasty words.
Why?
Nasty words to some people. Don't you look at social media, Chad, and see that there's no business for that to be happening?
Let me be straight. When you've got a group that goes to the city and says, we want to do this for you, and all we need right now from you, city, this is all we need. We need permission to fundraise. We need to know that if we go out and raise the money to pay for this, that you will allow it to move forward. What's wrong with that?
Well, because then, Chad, you'll have people on there that think that the city's paying for it because they don't know.
Well, and see, that's the problem. The problem is that people do not understand how these public-private partnerships work.
I swear.
And let me give you a couple that have worked pretty darn well. Okay, so you might not like it that the Sand Creek Trail is fixing to go kind of next to the sewage treatment plant that you're also kind of upset that we had to pay for in the first place. By the way, I'm upset we had to pay for it too. I tend to think that when the city took a look at that situation, they made some really smart decisions.
Yes, they did.
And they did some things that would really kind of reduce the hit over the long term.
Yep.
They were thinking long term when they put that project together.
Yes, they were.
Okay, but I digress. You might be upset that it's going near there. It is going next to or right close to, because of that location, the Rhodes Wetland Park.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason that it's named the Rhodes Wetland Park. It's because the city didn't spend a frickin' dime putting that thing in there. The Rhodes Foundation was one of the largest donors. And the, what do they call themselves? Kansas Waterways. Sorry, Libby. I love you to death, but I can't remember the name of your organization. They raised all the money. They did all the design work. I mean, seriously, all the city had to do was go, yeah, that design looks good. Oh, yeah, that looks good. We'll make sure that, once in a while somebody will go down there and lock it up if they need to. But yeah, this all looks good.
Thank you, actually.
I mean...
Thank you for providing something awesome to our community.
And so here we are. We had that one. Okay. This didn't happen at city level, but here's another one. I mean, truly, we're talking about, this is a public-private partnership all together now.
Another one.
$700,000. Sorry. I about can't do this. $700,000 raised by the adults after the kids started walking to school and saying, here's my spare change. Can we build a playground where the handicapped kids can play with us? $700,000 later, it's being delivered this week. And it's going to be constructed at Slate Creek Elementary School. And do you know what the school district had to pay for that?
Tell me, Chad.
$0. Merry Christmas, Newton.
Yeah.
Okay? Seriously. Merry Christmas. We're going to get stuck on a map. It's called the Principles of Inclusive Play. And we're going to be a demonstration site. There's only about 400, 450 of these across the country. Do your math, people. What's 450 divided by 5? About 8. So there's only about 8 of these per state. And that's an average.
See, and it's awesome. And this,
that is such an incredible project. And I'm going to tell you point blank, anybody has something bad to say about that project, you better come see me. I will straighten you out.
Yeah. Well, but after you tell them, Chad, then it won't matter. They'll just go on and say something about it 15 years from now. It's you know, and I'm sorry for being negative
private
today, man.
These are public-private partnerships. I'm just scratching the surface. Yeah. We here in Newton have been very blessed with public-private partnerships that have been created. And we haven't really called them that. You know, we All Together Now is a perfect example. I don't know that anybody has ever sat and said, this is an example of a public-private partnership. This is an example of a group of people going to the governmental body and saying, we want to do this for you.
Yeah.
Okay? You just need to give us permission and you need to tell us where it's going to get put. That's what happened. Okay? I know there's more. My brain is just not in that mode where I'm pulling everything out.
I'm telling you, we see it all the time in our community that's for the betterment of our community.
And Themian Park is another one of those.
There you go.
Okay? And straight up, this is what the Girl Scouts did on steroids. Okay? And I have thought for the better part of a year and a half that this community has owed a debt of gratitude to that Girl Scout troop.
Yeah. And they might have led the way, too.
Well, yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean...
Like somebody goes, there's no place to even sit there? I didn't realize that.
Exactly. You know what else isn't in there? I mean, think about this. We're sending complete classes of 5th and 6th graders over to that park for phys ed, recess, and whatever activity that they want to do that's going to be outside of school. Okay? They do have a new space that's done with turf right there by the gymnasium. Mm-hmm. Okay? Which is great, but we're still using Themian Park, and that goes back to an agreement from 1965. We're sending all these kids over there. There's no bathroom over there. There's no bathroom in Themian Park.
Chad, it comes back to but see, here's what it comes back to. To me, it comes back to culture. Why I was so frustrated at the beginning of the program is because I'm sick and tired of this negative culture as a cancer eating away my community. I mean, people were even throwing everything in the hat. It's like, oh, well, the convention center is just trash too. That was a waste of money. According to whom? Because the last I checked, that was a very well used.
It is well used. I think where people get
it. I mean, it's just it's like I want for it's just so frustrating.
Well,
be able to go to all this effort, all this work, become educated, so that way, well, you and I both, so that way we can be accurate in what we're saying, so that way we can remain credible, so that way when we speak, then people will listen to what we're saying and know that we're speaking truth. And for people just to speak blatant foolishness.
Yeah.
Blatant foolishness.
And I don't know where some of that stuff about the Meridian Center comes from, but there's some cold hard truths that people need to come to grips with, especially some of the folks that are a little older than me. Okay. And I think that some of them know who they are. One of those cold hard things that they've got to come to grips with is very, very few event centers actually make money.
Yeah.
Most of them are just tax write-offs for the owners. Okay? There are exceptions, but very few places actually make money as an event center.
Well, where else are you going to have these things?
Here's another one.
Think about the chamber breakfast.
Because I know that this conflict was out there for a while. So I'm just gonna say it. Okay? I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. The VFW didn't close because of the Meridian Center.
No.
The VFW closed because VFWs across the United States are closing. Because there are fewer and fewer members. And there are fewer and fewer people who are eligible to be members. Just reality. Okay? Dude, when my father-in-law passed is when I met one of the wisest presidents of a VFW I have ever met. You know, my father-in-law was not a member of that local VFW, but that dude still came to his funeral. And he and I had a conversation, and I made the statement. I said, I just think it's great you guys still have a VFW in this town. And he looked at me and he goes, we're not going to have one much longer. Because fewer and fewer are eligible, and fewer are alive. And you know, I looked at him and said, well, thanks for confirming what I already knew. You know, because of what I do.
Yeah.
It's so if that's where some of your anger and angst is coming from, please put that to bed. Please understand why things are really happening. Just because you don't like it that we built the Meridian Center, and I'll be honest, at the time and still today, I kind of question whether or not it was the right investment. You know, it's one of those times where I'm kind of like I'm in Jason Mitchell's camp, right? If there's money to be made, smart people are going to go make it. So let them do that.
Yeah, but things that are for the public good don't always make money. It's just like going back to the parks.
I understand.
Lance is not going to go and spend millions of dollars on a park just so that way I can charge ticket fees of a value in which families can take their kids to the park and pay for the park. It's not going to happen.
No.
Same thing with the pool. Same thing with the rec center. Same thing with the YMCA. Same thing with the walking path. I mean, you know, same thing with roads.
You know,
Chad.
you mentioned two organizations that I think it's important to do a compare and contrast on. You mentioned the pool and you mentioned the Y.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for a family of 5 to go to the pool, if you're going to go to the public pool, it's going to be $20-$25. If you go up to Heston, it's going to be right at 20.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a nice new pool, fairly new. Okay. You go to the Y, it's 50. There's compare and contrast. Okay. So Heston, Newton Pool, those are supported by
Public funds.
Public funds, recreation commissions.
Yeah.
The YMCA is supported by
It's nonprofit.
A nonprofit but private organization.
Agreed.
Okay? And in some cases, the moniker of nonprofit simply does not apply. I'm not saying it's the Y, but in some cases, that simply does not apply. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Because if the organization doesn't make money, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I concur.
Yeah.
I mean, I what I was trying to point out was these entities that strictly are, I mean, Chad, a family that doesn't make a lot of money doesn't pay a lot of money to get a membership to the Y. They just don't.
Yes, but they're still paying.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
I mean, they're still paying.
Yeah.
It goes back to one of the things that I said during the phase of the history where we were talking about where to put the Y. I said the exact same thing when we were talking about where to put the new library. And I'm going to say the exact same thing in support of the extension of the trail system. Okay? The notion that you can put something somewhere that everybody can use it as a pedestrian or as a free user doesn't exist, but that's not an excuse to make it so no one can.
Yeah.
And we should be out to try and help the most number of people.
The most and do it fiscally responsibly.
Yes. Most number of people.
Well, and
I miss the days of Steve Keller, but that's beside the point.
Okay, let's go back to this. So something else that we wanted to cover on the program today, and I think it's a great prelude into it. Everybody always asks me why I'm involved in the political sphere, okay? And it really has a lot to do with the stuff that we were talking about right now. It's that, I care about the public good. I care about people that are less fortunate than me, more fortunate than me. It's irrelevant. I want to be participatory in making decisions that affect the whole. And I don't think people understand how much government actually does affect your life day to day.
Yes, it does.
So when we're talking about politics, and everybody wants to shy away from this word politics, but really it's the discussion of policy on a public level is really what it is. And then of course we are allowed to elect as a free people individuals that we think will make the decisions that will best benefit all of us. We've turned a corner on that now. And I've said it over and over again. People want to elect people that will do their bidding and inflict their will and their ideologies on everybody else. So a lot of this has to do, in my opinion, with people not being participatory in the process. And we find this, I saw you wrote an article about parties are seeking precinct people.
Yes.
And precinct people are I hate to use the word lowest, but they are the base level participants in the political process. For those that don't know, when you look at a map of Newton, you have wards and then you have precincts. And these are all based upon populace in most instances.
Yes.
It just tries to use the best geographical lines it can, whether it be roads or bridges or waterways or whatever it is. And this happens at a very small, minute level in your neighborhood. You live in a precinct, everybody does, whether you like it or not, and then those precincts make up a ward, and then those wards make up a district, and then those districts make up a state, and those states make up a national government. Okay, right? Just in basic terms. Would you agree, Chad?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, there is such an apathy and people not wanting to be involved and stand up and serve in that way that it's almost allowing for I don't want to say that. It allows for people with ulterior motives who want to push their own ideology and belief onto others and find people that will represent them. To hell with everybody else. So, I could just continuously ask this question, why, Chad? But it's getting to the point where I'm just, it's like I'm heavily involved. I've been heavily involved for the last 7 years. I've done this, that, and the other. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows I'm dedicated. I'm determined. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to press forward. I'm going to try to make a change. And you can make a change whether you win, whether you lose, whether you're a precinct committee person, whether you're somebody that just tells somebody else, hey, I'm educated, I'm informed, tries to help encourage people to get out and vote. But even then, voting totals are dismal.
Yeah.
We can't even at this point we're less than a month away from the filing deadline, a couple weeks, and people still have
June 3rd.
They still haven't made the decision to fill these roles as precinct committee people. I mean, where are we at, Chad? I mean, are people just...
Well, I think...
What is going on with our society?
You know, here's the thing. While I wrote that they're looking for precinct people, because they are, I honestly believe that most of those positions on the GOP side are going to get filled. I do believe that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, but I could be wrong. The reason that I started looking at it, I'm just gonna be straight, man. The reason I started looking at all of those lists and thinking about it was I just wondered how many people there were, right? And how many positions went unfilled in the last election. I was a little surprised by those numbers. I honestly expected one party to have it completely full.
And it's not.
It's not.
Mm-hmm. Don't think that's not by design, Chad. Because unless we can get somebody that wants to be precinct committee person that thinks like we think, then we don't want them.
I'm not going to go there.
It is what it is. I'm telling you from personal experience.
But I'm just going to tell you that you know, democracy in all forms fails when there's lack of choice and when there's lack of participation.
Yeah.
Okay. This is me saying, am I going to go there? Am I going to go there? Am I going to go there?
I already know what you're going to say.
You want to manipulate an election. You need to go on and go after an election where there's not participation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the deal.
Well, and that's what normally happens in primaries, and that's another issue.
Primaries are the least attended.
Yes.
Now, caveat, if there is something big to bring people to the polls for...
A policy issue.
Yes, they will come.
Agreed.
Okay? And you know, 22 was such an outlier that I don't even take a look at its statistics anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a total outlier.
Agreed.
And I will, you know, when time comes for analysis, you know, in August of the primary that we have here, I will not be comparing it to 22. I'll go back and compare it to 20.
Agreed.
I'll go back and compare it to 18, but definitely not 22. Because 22 had an abortion issue on the ballot.
Yeah.
And you know what? In Kansas, that is a lightning rod issue, and it has been a lightning rod issue for 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what side of the issue you're sitting on.
People believe passionately about what they believe.
It is a passionate issue that is a lightning rod issue. We are lacking that for this upcoming primary.
Yeah.
I wrote the story about precinct people just because, you know, if you want to get involved, this would be a great place to do it.
But how many times, Chad, do we have more than one precinct person you can vote for? 9 times out of 10, you go in there and it's like, there must only be one person.
And I have asked a couple of people about that.
Person.
I've asked a couple of people about that. And one of the people that I asked gave me an answer that I really, really liked. He made the comment that to become a precinct person, that may require some kind of difficult conversations between you and your neighbor. Because if there's somebody in your precinct, you're going to be running an election against your neighbor. Okay? And if that neighbor happens to be a friend...
Well, that's because we have to let all of our policy and political discussions break friendships, because that's the nature of what we live in today, Chad.
Well, you know...
Absolutely. Okay, you and I do not agree on everything. We sit across from the table and we don't, Chad. You and I both know that we've had discussions and you're like, well, I don't look at it that way. And I'm like, well, I don't really look at it that way. And you know what? It doesn't change the fact that we're still friends.
Right.
I mean, is it because we're the only mature adults in the room? Because I don't believe that to be the case.
No, I think it's because we value our friendship over our differences.
Oh, well, but I didn't get my way, and Chad doesn't think the way I think, so you know what? I can't be friends with you anymore. Chad, you've just insulted my way of thinking so harshly that I just can't even understand how you can think that way. And so, well to
Lance,
heck with you, Chad.
Lance.
I know I'm being on one today, people.
But, you are. But
my
Lance,
goodness gracious,
you know what?
come on.
Seriously, Lance, that baseball glove is mine. Leave it. The ball is yours. Take it. Go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's what that is about.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Yes.
That's what that is. You want to take your ball and go home? Fine. Just leave me my mitt.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with that thinking, and I read, and I don't remember which one, but I read the words of a state rep out of Missouri, speaking about a fairly prominent congressperson from Georgia, and they are of the same party. He made the statement that he is tired of the schoolyard tactics. It's time to grow up. Guess what? There's a lot of people who need to hear that.
Yeah. Or it's going to be the death of us.
There's a lot of people who need to hear it.
It's going to be the death of us if we don't. Our nation is unraveling as it is right now, and it seems like the only thing you can get is one extreme or
the
another
other
extreme. And even then, in those pockets, you're not even allowed to think for yourself. See, because then we brand people. I couldn't tell you how many times I hear the conversation, Ultracon Rhino. And that might just be because, well, my affiliation, right? But it's, oh, well, if you're not and don't think this way, if you don't feel this way and think this way, and it's got to be this way on every policy issue that I think that this is, then you're just a rhino.
Well, how do bullies operate?
Well, I can tell you how group mob mentality operates.
I'm not talking about group mob mentality. How do bullies operate? What's the first thing a bully will do? Very first thing. They'll create a label.
Yeah.
They do that to dehumanize you. Short, slow, fat, temper. Hurt them all. That is the first thing a bully will do. They will create a label. They do that to remove your identity. If it's a bully that has any compassion within their soul, they have to live with themselves in what they're doing. So dehumanizing their person that they are about to go after is critical to what they're going to do. Once they have established what that's going to be, that's when they can start to do their manipulation. And make no bones about it, that's what is going on. So we're going to label you, then we're going to begin to manipulate you. Okay? I have been watching this in our highest level of politics for years.
Probably since we've been around.
Okay? Your opponent, that person who thinks differently than you, they have a name. They are a human being. You can choose to either respect them and act like an adult or not.
And I'd say so far locally in our election cycle, Chad, the only place that I've seen mudslinging take place is since Amy Perkins filed.
Well, I mean, there's always been mudslinging in our local races and at the county level. Always.
Well, so you think it's just
always,
it's on its way? We're just got to wait for it to come?
It's always been there. Sometimes the victims got elected. I'm just being straight.
Yeah.
It's always been there. But I would really encourage folks to start looking and thinking and understanding how people operate is a reflection of who they are. They are telling you who they are.
Right out there in open.
And when someone tells you who they are,
believe them.
Please believe them. Take them literally. Don't think they're joking.
Yeah.
It's not a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? It's just not. They're showing you who they are and how they're going to operate.
Well, and watch somebody's actions over somebody's words. That's an important thing too. It's like, it doesn't take very many years for you to be able to see what somebody's really about. I mean, and then with the advent of social media, it doesn't take long for you to be able to see what they're about. Right? Because you do take inflection away, and there is some struggle when it comes to that type of
some of the things that you're going to be, looking for, and we're going to be exposed to, right? Well, that's just a liberal. There's your label.
Yeah.
He's Ultracon. There's your label.
Rhino.
Okay, this is their tool for dealing with the fact that they think they're going to have to sling something.
Yeah.
Okay? This is how they don't talk policy. And this is how they tell you who they are. Okay? It's coming. Now, if someone comes out with in this political season that we're going to be coming with, if they come at us with facts, that's one thing. It's when they come at us with this other stuff that is another thing. And that's why it's so critical for you to take a look at and understand how people operate, because how they operate now
is how they're going to operate when elected.
Exactly. So if you've got a candidate who never wants to talk about something, what are they going to be like when they get into office?
Never wanting to talk about anything, at least
or
not
make
openly.
A decision.
Yeah.
They're always going to postpone. They're always going to deflect. And stuff's just not going to get done. Or it's going to get done in spite of them instead of because of them. Okay?
Yeah.
If you've got candidates who are always pointing the finger at somebody, what's going to happen when they get into office?
Always point the finger at somebody.
They're going to always point the finger elsewhere. Okay? And that's counterproductive. It's not going to get anything done.
Well, and another thing, too, is having been in this situation long enough, there are some real sneaky, manipulative things that take place when it comes to political season. I mean, it's like slippery, icky, nasty. I was just telling somebody the other day, it's like my word is that's icky. You know, because when you watch somebody's behavior and you see it for what it's worth, you're like, ew, that's really just icky. Like, icky. Like, don't want to be a part of it. Don't want to. And I wonder, maybe I'm coming full swing and answering my own question here. And we are coming to the end of the program, but maybe the reason so many people, Chad, are not wanting to be involved in the political process is because they see it for what it is and what people have made it out to be.
Who wants to? Who in their right mind would want to get all that ick? Who would want to be in that? I mean, seriously.
I mean, some of us, I guess, are just fine with it.
I've been thinking really hard about this whole precinct thing. Do I want to throw my name on a thing? Do I? Do I? And it's like you sit there and you go, well, you know what? Maybe I'll go down there on the 3rd. And I don't know if I'll even be in town, so I might not be able to do this. But maybe I'll go down there on the 3rd and I'll just ask, has anybody filed for my precinct? And if nobody's filed for my precinct, maybe I will then. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because then I don't have to deal with the ick run up to the election. And I don't have to, I don't have to have that hard conversation with my neighbor and tell him, oh, by the way, I'm putting my name in there against you. Yeah. And and straight up, I mean, this is the mind of Frey, okay?
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe I'll go down there on the 3rd and I'll ask about both parties. Yeah. Because if there's no Democrat, and there's probably not gonna be one, maybe I'll just re-register as a Democrat, throw my name on there, become a precinct for the Democrats.
You know what?
because then I can get in there and
be involved,
go nuts. I can just be like, dude, I'm tired of you guys not putting in candidates. We have to do something about this. And guess what? I'll have an elected position in which I'll be saying, we need to do something about this.
Yeah.
Can we do something? Instead of being the guy that's sitting over in the corner going, guys, come on, let's go. Yeah. Right? The Republican Party doesn't have that problem. The Democrats do.
Yeah.
And so where do I want to affect change? Well, I want to affect change where the problem's at. Yeah. Do I go, oh, there's nobody in the Republican Party precinct for, my precinct. Let's go do this. Yeah. And then, start putting a hot poker on some of the people that I encounter after. I don't know, man. But all of that to say, if you want to be involved, this is the spot where it starts. It really does start here.
Yeah.
And we've seen sort of a steady group of candidates who were never involved as a precinct person. They just jumped in.
Or in much of anything.
They had to deal with precinct people when they jumped in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they never did any of that. And my guess is it'd be a really good experience for you if you're thinking about getting involved.
Yeah. Well, I got a last word.
Sure.
I got a last word. For all the people that sling mud and throw rocks at people during the political season, when you actually stand up and file and put your name out there in the public for people to judge you and to be able to choose whether or not they think you're the one that they want to elect to be able to lead, you really don't have anything to say, in my opinion.
Well,
that's my opinion. File for
the precincts.
Yeah.
It's cheap, it's easy, it's quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then do what you need to do afterwards. If you don't have to run a campaign, don't.
Yeah.
If you're going to be the only person on the ballot, just ride that sucker in and then follow it up and get involved. Mike Fellows said something to me that has literally haunted me that I didn't quote when I wrote the story. He said that he was willing to get involved if there were going to be regular meetings, and there haven't been regular meetings. And he feels like they need to have regular meetings.
Mm-hmm. And the more he tries...
And I'm sitting here going, dude, you know what? I'm with you. Now, me personally, I don't need any more meetings in my life. I got plenty. Yeah. But I'm with you, because if you want to be involved, then be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chad, you got the last word. What do you got for us today?
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
I thought you were going to say that was your last word.
Yeah. Nope. There's going to be a groundbreaking. It's going to be Hillboro Industries. It's going to be the 31st. If there's 31 days in May, I don't know. It's the last day of May.
Okay.
I'm super excited. And you should be too. Everybody should be. Because this is one of those visual things. This is one of those deals where we can finally say, we're cashing in. It's happening.
Yes, it is.
And I can't wait.
It's awesome. Well, there you go, Chad. Chad had the last word. All right. We'll catch you next week, everybody. Have a good week.